another TLAV video was just censored. And you actually, it's completely unsurprising which one they chose to focus on. And this is another one based on Whitney Webb's amazing research about the artificial intelligence plan that has become the coronavirus plan. And there's absolutely nothing in that that's even, every single thing we talked about is documented evidence in U.S. documentation, in their own plans, in their own legislation. This is stuff that is absolutely documented. And they claim that I violated term. They don't, of course, like usual, it doesn't give you just an ambiguous thing. You violated something within our community guidelines. We don't ever really get to understand. And then they say, well, here's your 3-hour video. Go ahead and pick out the part that's wrong and let us know when you're done. And then we'll decide if it's still good, even though we don't know what part, where, or what we did wrong. That's all, as I've mentioned many times, this is how it's a faceless, nameless unaccountability of YouTube. We never get to find out. And also see what it says right there, was flagged for us to review. And this is the fallacy of this program, that you have massive flagging troll campaigns, which we all know exist. And even if it's not some orchestrated thing, you telling me that you can't get 50 of your friends in a circle, in a group somewhere to be like, hey, let's go attack this video that we all don't like. I'll flag it today. And YouTube will take notice of it and they'll be pressured to do something about it. That's what this is. And obviously, this is going against the World Health Organization guidelines because we're daring to point out that this may be, even in part, not just about the coronavirus. Well, then there you go. And we're going to note on that whole World Health Organization absurdity today in regard to how we're not allowed to challenge a group that has been caught lying numerous times, a group that has already changed what it said about 5 times since this started. So if we weren't able to counter it then and they're wrong then and now they're saying something else, maybe we should be like, hey, maybe they're wrong this time again. Oh, censored, can't say that, except that they were wrong before. See the paradox there? This is ridiculous. This is censorship because you're challenging authority. That's what it is. Now, I hope you will take the time to look further into that specific document. And here's the video yourself so you can see the live stream recording is not available. And I'm going to appeal the decision, but as usual, just like the last one in regard to Dr. Boyle that was removed, even though the mainstream media is literally talking about what we talked about right now, and they removed it on those grounds, it's still gone. They'll never come revisit and be like, oops, we were wrong. Sorry about that. This is gone because of a political motivation. That's why. This is the article, by the way, on the website that you can see for yourself. All this will be in the show notes for you to look at because this is still accessible. The podcast is still available. And as I said, the video was deleted due to ongoing baseless YouTube censorship. The video can be viewed here. Here's the BitChute link. So you guys know, I mean, we're constantly pointing out that YouTube is censoring. But right this moment, we are multi-streaming on like 7 different platforms. And then we post it on about 5 different more after that. So we're by no means relying on YouTube. But obviously that's where the most people are and usually where the most lost people are. So we're trying to reach them. My goal here is not to speak to people who already agree with me. My goal is to reach people who are lost. If it's only 1 a day, I'm doing my job. That's what the point is. So when I put this out, it's not to say, look, censoring, that's the only thing we have. We're everywhere else. So I hope people know that. We're already on BitChute. We're already on all these other platforms you might suggest. And by the way, here's the article that Whitney wrote that this is based on. So even if you can't find the link, this article on the last American Vagabond, which I highly recommend you read other than just listen to us talk about it, so you actually fully digest everything. Techno-tyranny, how the U.S. national security state is using coronavirus to fulfill an Orwellian vision. To make this very quick so we don't rehash it all, the bottom line is that they had a plan that was applied in regard to artificial intelligence that was being applied to previous agendas. So before coronavirus was around, before this whole idea, they were using this AI plan and trying to institute it using other justifications. Had nothing to do with viruses. Then suddenly we have coronavirus problem, and now they just took that same exact plan and said, perfect, this is exactly what we need to fight coronavirus. Which, who actually believes that? What are the odds that the exact plan for something totally different is exactly what we need to fight a completely unexpected pandemic that, as they tell us anyway, that, that's totally outside of what we're, it's ridiculous. The point is they're pushing this plan in because it's what they wanted to do, and it has little, if anything at all, to do with coronavirus. And that, my friends, is why it was censored. Because this is exactly the thing they don't want you hearing. Not two-party paradigm nonsense. Not talking about Joe Biden or Donald Trump's election or, the ins and outs of the two-party deception or China did it or all the different things they're trying to push in right now. This is about the people who are awake from that illusion. And that's largely unpopular with the people still lost in that paradigm, but that's what they tend to focus on because that's what gets to the truth. And as I said in the tweet, YouTube just censored another TLAB video for yet another unaccountable community guidelines violation. The video about the AI coronavirus plan. But lucky for you, not all platforms are as authoritarian and unaccountable as YouTube. Here's the BitChute link. So please watch it for yourselves to see exactly what they don't want you to see. As always, and I'm going to have another note later on in the show about the Erickson doctors, Erickson, I always forget the other guy's name, and I apologize for that. But the Bakersfield doctors that were speaking that were censored. Because that's exactly what's happening here. Not just, there's claim, excuse me, sorry, something getting in my throat today, but despite, the bottom line is this is not misinformation, as they said about the other doctor's video, right? This is data based on the evidence. Or excuse me, this is discussion based on the evidence, based on the data. So you can disagree with that. We can think you're coming to the wrong conclusions. But when you censor that, that is censoring to control the information. That is censoring an alternative opinion of the same data. Very different. And I hope people see that difference. And when you notice that it's happening, you have to realize that's not for your benefit. That's for their benefit. Now, as this is happening, as we're seeing the narrative completely challenged, as we're continuing to see the lies get, I guess, pushed forward, as we can see the evidence get ignored everywhere, constantly, day in and day out. We have to realize some of the more horrifying things that are being pushed into this because of these lies. Now, what I keep trying to say on this, as much as I am saying, in my opinion, and based on the evidence, that it's very clear that we are being lied to a certain degree. How much is up for you to decide, but I think it's very obvious. But as I keep trying to say, even if you think I'm crazy and think, well, it's completely real and this is the worst thing we've ever dealt with and we all have to be scared, even if you think that, even if that is the case, what we're going to talk about next is something that you should be concerned about, that is being forced in because of this, and it shouldn't be. Something that has no basis in science. I mean, everything we're going to talk about in this next part is something that has been tried to be pushed in before, just like the AI program we talked about. And suddenly now it's perfect for coronavirus. What do you know? Exactly what we've always been trying to do. Now they're going to push it as we have this new thing because coronavirus. No, it's what they've pretty much always been trying to do. This applies to all the things we're talking about. Not just the AI programs, everything we've been laying out have all been these plans from before. Medical martial law, biometrics, facial scans, all these things. And they're all happening now. Now, again, I don't want to go into too much of this for two reasons, because one, Whitney Webb's article is going to be coming out shortly about this, and I'm going to also have her on the show to talk about it. So I don't want to go in too deep, but I just want to give you a little teaser about what this is going to be about. Now, in 2006, DARPA announced its Predicting Healing and Disease Program, PhD. Okay, you gotta love the acronyms they pick, which sought to determine, quote, whether an individual will develop an infectious disease prior to the onset of symptoms. Now, first of all, the first thing that stood out to me when I read that. Okay, so we've got pre-crime, which is where they're trying to say, well, we know based on our information and your social media and everything else we compile of your data that we're not supposed to have, that you were gonna commit a crime. Yeah, you were about to. You were warned about, this idea that we're going to now be able to tell whether or not you were going to commit a crime, and that wouldn't be abused in any way, right? They wouldn't come in and kick my door down because I'm saying things they don't want me to say and say, well, our data showed that you were about to do this. You clearly have an authority issue. Clearly we can see how that can go. That's something that we've already talked about. Whitney's written about that as well. Pre-crime is absurd, not only just wildly unconstitutional, but coming from a government that has abused damn near everything we've ever been put in front of them. We shouldn't